Good afternoon, Kevin Smith with Community Ventures, and want to welcome you all to Mustard Seed Hill today. This is the old Millersburg Military Campus, and just a little over a year ago I sat on these front steps behind me, and we began to talk about all of the work that we had ahead of us. If you remember, a lot of trees had come down, and the buildings were in a very bad shape, and we had a lot of work ahead of us. And so we began sort of laying out for you what all needed to be done. And now, a little over a year later, we've gotten quite a bit done. If you look over my right shoulder, you'll see that the gymnasium is done. And then, of course, right behind me, we have the Allen House that is now completed. And so what I want to do today is want to give you a walkthrough of the Allen House, but I also want to tell you about an event that we have coming up on June the 11th. We're going to have an open house at 6 p.m. and we're going to invite the community and anyone that really just has a heart for this place to come celebrate with us for getting this far in the project. We still have a long way to go, but I think it's time to take a breather and welcome people onto the campus and let them see for themselves what is going on. As you can see behind me, the Allen House has been transformed. It looks quite a bit different than it did when we started, and we're very pleased. I do want to take the opportunity now to give a shout out to Mitchell Construction Company out of Lexington, who did a fantastic job on this renovation, as well as the Walker Company out of Mount Sterling. They have done a great job on getting the grounds and the roads and the site development done. And of course, none of this would have happened had it not been for Todd Ott and Brad Boaz at CMW Architects. We had a great team put together for this project, and they excelled way beyond my expectations. So thanks to all of them. And now, if you'd like, come on inside and you can see some of the after pictures of our work. So now we've moved inside the Allen House, and we're standing in the front foyer, and you can see behind me the staircase that the Allen House is known for. And if you'll remember, when we first started, the floor was actually had red carpet on it, and then it had a layer of tile under that and a layer of glue under that, and but we finally got down to the original hardwood floors, and they really turned out great. We were able to refinish all of the natural woodwork, the walnut in the house, and it turned out very nice. The chandeliers have been replaced. The furniture has been placed in now with the rugs. And I want to give a shout out to Andra Geyer with Janice's Salt Box in Lexington. They did an absolutely fantastic job in picking the colors and the furniture and all of the interior look of this, and just did a whale of a job. So hope you like what you see here, and I think we're good to go. Now, the one thing that you don't see is what's behind the walls. All of the plumbing has been replaced, all of the wiring has been replaced, and so all the systems. We went with geothermal again to try to lower our operating cost as we go forward, and all LED lighting, even in some of the older chandeliers, we rewired for LED. So hopefully we will be rather green and keeping the historical look and integrity of the building as well. So now let's move on into what I call the gentleman's quarters. As I've said before, this is going to be a wedding venue, and a lot of times wedding venues don't pay much attention to the groom or the groomsmen, and so we wanted to create a place for them, so we created this billiards room. And before we began, the room was pretty stark. But now what we did find is we found this pool table that dates back to the 1860s, and we had it restored. Again, this house was built in 1852, so we wanted some period pieces. So this pool table is one of them. And this gives the place for the grooms and the groomsmen to hang out and spend some time and stay out of the bride's way. So the groomsmen will also have a room to get dressed in and to hang out in besides the billiards room. And so this is sort of the area that we created for them as well. You can see the hooks on the wall for them to hang their tuxes and clothes as they change. And then if they want to sit down and play cards or again go on into the billiards room, they've got that opportunity. If you'll notice on the fireplace, we didn't have a mantle for the fireplace, and we tried to go back to the original one that was in the room, and we couldn't make it fit anymore, so we went back with what was in here when we bought it. And you'll also notice the gas logs. All of the fireplaces will be working with gas logs, except for one in the house. So, so it should give it a pretty good feel in the wintertime. Okay, so to finish up the tour of what we call sort of the gentleman's area of the house, come on into the bar area, and I'd like to show you this. Of course, we get a lot of conversation around the new chandelier that's in here. We brought these from actually Turkey, and we thought that they fit with the house, made it a little bit different, and still kept with the historical character. The bar is from the late 1800s. We actually found that in Pennsylvania, and we had it shipped down and refinished and refashioned for this room. So a lot of the catering and serving will occur in this room, but also be used by the groomsmen as well. So very pleased with the way this turned out, and I think it will add a lot of function to the house. So now I'd like to take you into the grand reception hall, so you can see the changes that have been made there. Okay, now we're in the reception hall of the Allen house, and I show you sort of a before picture. If you'll remember, over my right shoulder, the plaster was falling off the walls in here. Still a lot of desks, a lot of furniture that was a little bit dilapidated, and this room probably had next to the one of the upstairs kitchens had more damage than any of them. It was this room that showed us if we didn't do something soon, the Allen house was not going to be here any longer. The other thing that I'll point out, as I showed you earlier about a year ago, the medallions that are above the chandeliers. We were missing one of them, and we actually found half of it in an old maintenance room. Someone had taken it down, and our contractors, as good as they are, were able to recreate the other pieces that were missing. So now both medallions under the chandeliers are back now. So we were very pleased about that. The other change that we made in this room is if you'll look up against this wall, these were windows at one time. And we had walnut doors made that will now open out onto the porch, which will add a lot of function to this room and allow people that are having receptions to flow in and outside without having to go out into the hallway. The other changes that we made, structural, is to the beam that goes across the room. And we had to take all the woodwork down, take the old beam out, replace the wall upstairs. It had begun to fail because the beam was giving way. We inserted a steel beam and then put the woodwork back, and you can't even tell we did the work. So, so again, we had great craftsmen working with us, and I think they just did a fantastic job. So now what I'd like to do is take you upstairs and show you some of the changes up there. Okay, so now we're at the top of the stairs. We're getting ready to enter into the upstairs foyer. The thing I like best about what we've done here is this floor is the original. There were two floors on top of it. As we began to tear them off, when we got down to the original, you could tell back in probably the late 1800s, they had actually faux painted this floor to look like oak. There wasn't any way to save any of that. A lot of it was gone. You could just see bits and pieces of it, but but I'm sure it was pretty grand in its day. But we did get it back to the original floor, refinished in the best way that we could. I think they turned out very well. So come on through, and I'd like to take you now to what we call the Honeymoon Suite, which is one of the upstairs bedrooms. Again, the floors are original, and we were able to save pretty much all of the woodwork in here. We did add to the crown, but everything else is pretty much the way we found it. We just had to repair it, clean it, and make it look better. So we did add a private bath. Since this is the Honeymoon Suite, we added a private bath to this room. So this is the area that's dedicated to the bride and her bridesmaids, and this is where that they will get dressed and do makeup and do all of the things that they do before a wedding. For those of you that would remember the house, this is where the old kitchen used to be upstairs, and then the bathroom. And the two openings that we have here now, those actually used to be windows. And what we did is we turned those into doors, and we put the bathrooms in the addition on the back of the house. That way we didn't have to cut the house up running plumbing and all of that, and so we just kept most of the water back there, which I think helped us keep the historical integrity of the house, but also give it the modern function that it needed. We also installed the cabinets and mini kitchen with refrigerators so that the bride and the bridesmaids will be comfortable and have just pretty much everything that they need while they're preparing for the wedding. So anyway, pretty neat room. I think it turned out well. Again, hats off to Janice's Salt Box for the great work that they did. Okay, so we're back in the reception hall of the Allen house, and what I'd like to do now is take you outside to the back porch that we've added and give you a glimpse of that. So come on outside, and this is probably one of the biggest changes that we made to the Allen house. There used to be an old addition on the back of this building that a lot of the foundation had rotted, and really there wasn't much to be salvaged. So to improve the function of the house, we decided to take the addition off and replace it with this porch. Clearly there's a lot of space out here to entertain, and as with wedding receptions, of course that's going to be important. But it also opens off to what we call the east lawn here, that people will be able to spill out into the lawn and continue the reception out there as well. So a lot of versatility and a lot of different ways to be able to use the property. So again, very pleased with it, and can't thank you all enough for your support. So just to close out, I'd like to take you down into the east lawn and give you a look at the porch back, and so that you can sort of see the before and after of the back of the Allen house. Okay, now we're out on the east lawn of the Allen house, and just wanted to give you a look from this perspective. I don't know if you can remember, but the road actually used to cut right behind the Allen house. So there used to be an old parking lot back here, and we've created the east lawn and then taken the old addition off and added the porch. And again, shout out to the C&W Architects and Todd Ott for his great vision in designing this porch. So to begin to wrap up, I just want to remind you of our open house on June the 11th at 6 p.m. and hope that you'll come out and celebrate with us, and you can get a better look at the interior of both of the buildings, the gymnasium as well as the Allen house, and you'll be able to see all of the rooms. I didn't go through all of them, but I think you can get a pretty good idea of what they look like. And then we'll be talking also about the plans going forward. Also, it's going to give us a great time to thank all of the donors that have donated money to help us get this far. and also our policymakers and our community leaders. So I hope you can come out and celebrate with us. And again, can't thank you enough for hanging with us over this past year. Got to give a shout out to my staff. This has been a huge renovation project to do and to get done in just a little over a year, and I can't thank them enough. They were real troopers in this. So again, come on out, and hope you're pleased. And if anyone wants to get married here or have any other type of special event, then we would certainly like to host it. So thanks again, guys. Thanks, Millersburg, and we'll talk to you again soon.